Good evening, and welcome along to the show. We've got a great lineup of guests for you this evening, including best-selling author Peter James. He'll be telling us all about his brand new novel. We'll find out about a new TV series, The Lost Treasures of Egypt. And we'll also find out about this year's East Side Awards. And we'll have live music in the studio from singer-songwriter Brendan Monaghan. He'll also be here telling us about his brand new album. But we'll start off by talking boxing and a big charity event that's coming up very soon. It's a white-collar boxing event, and Brian McGee, boxing legend, is the man behind it, and he joins us now in the studio. Brian, how are you?
Very good, Robin. Thanks very much for having me again.
Good to see you again. So tell us about this big event, all to raise money for Action Cancer, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a local charity for starters. All the money comes back in to Northern Ireland. It's not government funding, so it's in badly need of getting funding, so it is. But this is the first time we've had we raised about 100 grand before, but over the COVID, we haven't had it for a couple of years. So it's been really, Action Cancer has been suffering and trying to get back on its feet again. So this hopefully is a big boost to it.
So it's a pretty unique event because you're taking people who've really never been involved by boxing before and just throwing them into the ring, aren't you?
It is, yeah. You get different levels of people maybe dabbled, but most of them are beginners, especially this one here. It's very exciting. You get people who they've got their own stories behind it, so it's quite emotional for a lot of people. Some people have lost parents, could be even kids as well to cancer, so it means a lot to them. And there's other people maybe stuck in a rut and they just want to kind of challenge themselves. I think actually the last time I was on there, I was actually doing the New York Marathon, so it was. So I always say to people as well, yes, doing the New York Marathon was brilliant, but for them is to be doing this white collar, it's an even bigger challenge because boxing, getting in the ring, it's such a challenge. A lot of things aren't in your control. When you're doing some more challenge, you're in control of when you train, what to do. But when you're up against somebody else, physically and mentally, it's a big challenge. So anybody does that, I take my hat off to them.
So to prepare for an event like this, is there a lot of training you have to put them through before?
Oh yeah, we do 8 weeks training, so we'll do 2 to 3 times a week, and then also give them the option of doing other training as well. So most of them come, they're all pretty fit, some are beginners as well, but they're all matched up, even matches. I love every fight to be a draw on the night, but it's, try to make it 50-50. But it's exciting now, we've only less than 2 weeks to go now, the big fight night, and already we've got an idea who we're going to pair. Don't find out who you're fighting until a couple of nights before. Okay. So it's exciting, and then it's nerve-wracking for them as well. Already you can see them getting a bit nervous, but it's a fantastic night, and you're just hoping everybody does well.
So it's in the Devonish, isn't it?
It's in the Devonish in the ballroom. Fantastic facility, so it is. We're probably looking something around about maybe 500 to 600 guests on the night. Fingers crossed, people come and go once the fight, and then go home and go into Belfast and party afterwards and hopefully celebrate.
Yeah.
But I tell everybody, no matter what winner, there always has to be a winner, but they're all winners, even doing it and doing this event, so they are.
And you've got some great live entertainment on in the evening as well, haven't you?
We've got the Peak Experience. Big Seamus McPeak's going to sing for us. I can't wait. I'd actually seen him there at Happy Fest a while ago there, and I thought he's definitely going to be a half-time entertainment. So it is exciting night in town, everybody. We'll have a couple of fights, like a half-time Super Bowl type of thing, and then a few more fights afterwards, and then disco afterwards. So it's going to be a great night's entertainment.
So you've ran these events before, so when somebody's had the taste of the white collar boxing, do they then go on to do more training and kind of take it up, or what
Yeah,
happens?
They actually do. Sometimes I run a gym, obviously we get a couple of gym members out of it, but you find people go on to maybe join a local boxing club, or they go on to do something else involved with boxing. I think as well with boxing wise, it gives people a lot of respect for what boxers go through, and once they get in the ring they realise how hard it is. I think a lot of the time people get in, the biggest surprise to a lot of people is how much they have to think, and how much they're thinking, right, hold on. They just think it's a matter of getting in the ring, here we go, let's just fight, but it's not. It's like, tactics, thinking about like jabs, he moving this way, I'll move this way. It's like a chess match, and they can't believe, maybe, geez, you need to have a bit of brains here to fight as well. So it's it's great, they're learning all the time, and it's great to learn a new thing and learn a new skill, and it's done very safely as well.
I've been talking to a lot of athletes recently about how good sport is for people's mental health and stuff like that. Is boxing good for your mental health as well?
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's the best de-stressor. There's nothing like just hitting the punch bag. You don't have to even be I think a lot of people think they have to come to my gym and I'd be a boxer, but you don't. You just have to be able to put your pair of boxing gloves on and punch a bag, and the effects of that afterwards, you walk out feeling so much better. It doesn't matter how fit you are. You come in, if you do 5 minutes. I see a lot of people starting off, don't build a mountain for yourself. People come in and think they've seen all this Instagram stuff now, but it does my head in. But you see people doing all this crazy stuff as well, and think you have to walk in the gym and you have to be fit before you even go to the gym. The whole idea is come to the gym and get fit. So I would say, listen, just have in your head, I'm going to go and I'm going to do 20 minutes. 20 minutes is better than what you're doing now because you're doing nothing. So just go and do 20 minutes where it's walk for 5 minutes, you know, do a few machines, hit the bag for 5 minutes, that's it. Then come out of the gym, you'll be feeling happy, you've got the endorphins going, and then, right, you know what, that was good. Wake up the next morning, I'm not that sore. Oh, I'm aching, you've overdid it. So next time, go a bit easier, or you can go a bit harder, and just build yourself up. It's a change for life you're going to do, but you want to make it enjoyable. You know, some people, I think even at my age now, I train for fun and enjoyment as well, where I've done all the hard stuff, boxing, grinding it out, you know, 2 times a day, 6 days a week, where now, yes, I just love to train, do a bit of exercise as well. I can't see myself mentally. I do it from be able for my mentality, and plus also to be able to eat as much as I want, drink as much as I want, you know, so it kind of keeps the balance.
But do you miss competing in the ring? Because that must be a great adrenaline boost as well.
Yeah, I really do, especially now with so many big fights coming, and boxing just seems to be just getting bigger and bigger all the time, you know. I miss the paychecks too, so you know, having to work for a living is just not the same. 9 to 5, it is tough. I used to think boxing was really hard, and then now I'm having to work for a living, and show up for work and be in certain times and going like, geez, this is tough. So like, hats up to everybody who does it.
And what about boxing here in Northern Ireland? Are we producing really good boxers at the moment?
Yeah, we are. The amateur, just seeing by the Commonwealth Games in the Meadowhall and the Commonwealth Games is fantastic. You know, it's going to be exciting for the Olympics coming up as well, what kind of team Ireland sends out. But it is, the training at the minute and the coaching is fantastic. They've got high performance, also in Ulster and also down south. So you couldn't get better coaching anywhere in the world than you're getting here in Ireland at the minute. And I think it's showing in the results. They're producing, they're getting the most medals out of any sport, you know, so they deserve a lot of credit.
And when you were starting in your career, who would your kind of mentors have been back then?
Back when I was fighting, Muhammad Ali kind of made me want to be a boxer, so he did. Like, I just seen this man on TV, I'm going, wow, he's talking and doing this here, and kind of good looking man as well, and just the way he moves, and he boxed as well, I thought, wow, and he's amazing. Marvin Hagler was another boxer, and then as I got more into boxing, when I was actually boxing myself, you had the likes of Steve Collins, you know, you had obviously Boy McGregor, and everybody knew him, Dave Boy McCauley, you had, I don't think else is coming out behind. There's so many Irish boxers, you know what I mean? There's just a list of them that can go on, but they all kind of inspired me to keep on boxing, you know what I mean, as well. So there was no shortage of kind of inspiration.
And what was your greatest memory then in the ring?
My greatest memory, one of them is meeting Muhammad Ali. You know, without boxing, like, I don't think I'd ever got to meet him, but I went to Louisville, Kentucky, his hometown, boxed in the World Cup, won the gold medal, got to meet him almost every single day for the whole week. We were there, it was amazing. The Olympic Games, amateur, but then also as professional. I've been lucky, all my fights were kind of travelling, so I got to do a lot of travelling. So I got to everywhere as far as China, New Zealand, Canada, America, as a boxer. Like, places coming from my background and all, I'd never have got to, ever, if you know what I mean. I'd be lucky maybe getting on a plane.
Because you were the first person to kind of put boxing in West Belfast on the map, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's probably a few before me, but I suppose on a big level, on a big stage, when I actually started fighting the King's Hall and all too. So I was lucky enough as well to be, I'm probably one of the last fighters from here to fight in the King's Hall. I'm not too sure if there's many fights after that. Do you know what I mean? The kind of.
And it's sad to see that venue gone now.
It is. It's iconic. That's why I went to watch my first concert, Def Leppard and all too. So lots of good memories. You know, Thunderland. Probably had your first kiss then as well. Things they got there, but you know, it is fantastic. And then obviously boxing it was amazing for me.
Exactly. You know? All right. Tell us more about this white collar boxing. How do we get tickets, and when is it?
Yeah, the tickets are actually nearly sold out. It goes so well, but yeah, you can get tickets at the gym, so you can just contact through Facebook or Instagram, and we'll keep tickets for you on the door. There might be a few tickets on the night. But it's a fantastic cause, they say, and it's for anybody interested in doing it, it's free to do. Believe it or not, we just kind of ask you to try to raise at least £120. £120 is a breast screening for somebody, you know, in Northern Ireland. Action Cancer is amazing work that they kind of see around about 25,000 people a year, so they do. Out of those people, you're probably getting 6 out of every 1,000 women detected cancer. So it does so much. It has not only just screening. It has therapies, also care during cancer and stuff like that there, and also counselling before and after and everything like that there. There's just a list, but to have that local charity, especially now when you hear about the health service, we're under so much pressure, and this charity really does so much in the background. It's really like I think it's an unsung hero, so it is really. But yeah, and it's amazing to think of this charity doesn't even get any funding from the government or anywhere else apart from people fundraising. You know, so it really is fantastic. And when you go down to Action Cancer House and see what they're doing, it makes you realise what a good thing it is. You know what I mean? But you know, putting that aside, on the night with the boxing and everything, it is an amazing. It is an amazing night. So it's one of the highlights. It's a highlight for me. So it is your way of doing anything of the year as well.
Would you ever do the New York Marathon again?
No. No, definitely not. I actually sometimes think, how do I actually do that? Do you know what I mean? I remember going around, actually, I was talking about somebody had an injury there for the white collar, and I was saying, I remember in the New York Marathon, they had these stops called BioFreeze. You could just spray in your legs, just numb your legs. And I remember going around about 2/3 of the way, and my legs could hardly move. And then you kind of got this bio spray and it numbed them. But the one thing about the New York Marathon was, straight after the marathon, you get your medal on and you're going, right, you shipped out of the thing. And I was going, how am I getting back to the hotel here? You know, if you were here, you get a lift home. Yeah. I had to go down the subway, get on the train, see, going down the steps, and back up the steps of them subways. I could hardly walk. And then the next day, it was painful, but no, I think one marathon's enough. I'm glad getting one marathon. I think that's me done with the marathons.
Brilliant. So Friday the 21st of October is a big night?
Yes, it is, yeah. I can't wait. 2 weeks to go, so it'll be fantastic. So
excellent, Brian. Good to see you as always.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Best of luck with the event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to talk about a brand new TV series now. It's on the National Geographic Channel. It's called The Lost Treasures of Egypt. We'll be talking to the professor behind it in just a second, but let's take a look at the brand new series.
Every year, this is what I wait for.
Hidden 23 feet underground, the tomb of an ancient Egyptian noble from the era following Tutankhamun's death.
Oh, what's that?
The chambers look undisturbed for thousands of years.
What are we going to find here?
Buried inside, an archaeologist's dream discovery.
Oh my God. Wow, I think I found something. It's amazing. Ooh.
So there we go, that's a clip from a fabulous new series, The Lost Treasures of Egypt. And I'm pleased to say that Professor Ola El Ghizi, who is the Professor of Egyptology at Cairo University, joins us now on the line. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Hello, thank you, I'm fine.
Before we talk about the new series then, let's talk about Egypt, because you've discovered so much stuff already, but the great thing is you're still discovering new stuff all the time as well, aren't you?
Yes, that's true. The desert in Egypt is full of discoveries, still underground, still not uncovered yet. Wherever you dig, you find. That's what I always say. Wherever you dig, you find.
So tell us about some of the stuff that you've discovered in this new series then.
Well, the National Geographic, when they were there on my last season, we discovered a sarcophagus, a big sarcophagus, but not enormous, but big, of the owner of the tomb we had discovered last year. The name of the owner is Ptah Emouya. He is the head of the cattle, the head of the offerings of Upper and Lower Egypt, the head of the treasury. So we can equal him to a Ministry of Finance right now, nowadays. So he's an important high official from the time of Ramses II. The tomb was discovered last year. This year, for the first time, we opened the shaft. The shaft is 8 meters deep. We first reached the first level of the shaft at 7 meters. We found a chamber, a big 3.5 meters square chamber almost. And then it was almost empty. Just some fragments of pottery and so on, nothing special. But we noticed that there was a sliding sand sliding down and reaching to a lower level. So we had to remove all this sand to find another opening that led us to another chamber where we found the sarcophagus. So that was a really magnificent discovery for us, because not only the sarcophagus was just in its place, but it was the sarcophagus of the deceased himself, the owner of the tomb, which is rare. Sometimes we find other sarcophagi for later burials, but not the sarcophagus of the owner of the tomb. since I began my excavations in 2005, I've never found the sarcophagus of the owner of the tomb. So this was my first time to discover such an important fact, or that it is the sarcophagus of the owner of the deceased. The sarcophagus itself was broken. The lid of the sarcophagus is broken, but the broken piece was placed behind the sarcophagus. So it was not displayed, it was not taken, it was there, because the people who opened the tomb before, maybe in the 19th century or earlier, needed to take the mummy. So we did not find the mummy. The sarcophagus was open, was free, was empty. But still, we could find some traces of even of golden, very, very few traces of gold on the lid, on the wall of the sarcophagus itself. Very, very few. But still, it gives us an information that this man is important. He had a rich burial. We could find some very small bones, skeletons of the skeleton, a small skull, which should not be the skull of the deceased because it was for a baby. But all these things, when they are analyzed, give us information about what happened after even after the burial of this man. So, well, we have moved all the sand around. We have cleared all the sand around the sarcophagus. We took photographs of the of it, very clear ones. The sarcophagus, what we call, is an anthropoid sarcophagus, meaning that the lid is shaped as a human. The face is the face of the man with a beard, with and his arms are crossed around on the chest. He's holding the symbols, the religious symbols, which are the symbols of the god Osiris and the goddess Isis. The goddess of the sky, which is named Nut, has her wings extended around on his chest to protect him. The name of the deceased is found on the sarcophagus, and all the prayers to protect the deceased in the afterworld. On the sarcophagus itself, there are the gods, the sons of Horus, the sons of the gods Horus, known always to protect the body of the deceased, around all the sarcophagus, with the prayers to protect the deceased. So these are scenes we always see on the sarcophagi of the New Kingdom, and especially of the 18th and 19th dynasty. It is not new. What is new for us is that we found the name of the deceased and his titles. So we are sure that this is the owner of the tomb discovered last year.
So it's obviously very exciting when you're making these discoveries, but I would imagine when you're heading down into the tombs, it can also be pretty terrifying as well.
Yes, it is. It's not as terrifying as you think. Of course, I go down in a bucket, as it showed in the movie. I go down in a bucket. It's a little bit frightful, but I have been doing this for 10 years or more. The workers around me are very protective, so I'm sure I'm in good hands. And then when I go down, it's not as stuffy as you could imagine. It is a 3 meters square room. We can stay there for long times. It's not a problem. The only problem is that the ceiling and the walls sometimes are cracked and they're not very safe. So what we do is that we bring some cement, put them on the crack, and wait till the second day to see if there was any movement in this crack or not, to be sure that the ceiling is not going to fall on our heads. Sometimes we have to put blocks of limestone blocks we find in the tomb as pillars to support the ceiling. So it's not frightening. I can tell you that once I drank tea. I had a tea party with my workers in the shaft.
Of course. So tell me what else is coming up in the series then. When you think of Egypt, you think about Cleopatra, and you're also looking at the rise of Cleopatra, aren't you?
Well, Cleopatra's tomb is still to be found. We don't know, but of course, Tutankhamun also is the mystery we are expecting to find. Maybe we can find something else behind the tomb of Tutankhamun, especially that he died very young, and at the same time he had such a big funerary furnitures and so on. So it is strange that he was buried in such a small tomb, but this is probably due that he died unexpectedly early, so they did not have the time to either finish the tomb or to dig a tomb since the beginning, from the start. So we can find a lot of things behind the walls of the tomb of Tutankhamun, and this is what we are talking about these days.
So The Lost Treasures of Egypt is available now. Where can we watch it?
You can see it on National Geographic Channel at 8 p.m. every Sunday. And please see it and watch it to share our excitement also.
Well, I look forward to watching the series. Ola, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Right, time for some live music, and Brendan Monaghan is back with a fabulous new album. We'll chat about it in just a second, but here he is performing live with a track called Please Don't Let It Go.
I hear the bells of the Angelus, they're calling. I had to wait a long, long time, but it was worth it. All those lonely days and nights, just thinking I need to hold you in my arms and tell a word about it. I wanna hold up the sun, never let it go down again. I wanna hold up the sun and never ever let it go down again. Now it's time to live in hope. Please don't let it go. Many struggles may soon be over. We go that extra mile. I bring joy, I bring happiness. Please believe me. And if there are roses, they will surely bloom. I wanna hold up the sun, never let it go down again. I wanna hold up the sun and never ever let it go down again.
That's Brendan Monaghan live here in the NVTV studios with a new song called Please Don't Let It Go from his brand new album, which is out now. The album's called Light from the Light That Never Ends, and we can chat to the man himself. How are you, sir?
Good, Robin. It's great to be back again.
Good to see you again. Tell me about that new song then. What's the kind of inspiration behind that?
Please Don't Let It Go. It probably follows in the theme of the album itself, Light from the Light That Never Ends. It's spiritual, probably in the background, but my songs are like that, and then people can use them in their own way, whatever they can hear in it. Please Don't Let It Go was written during, I hate using that word, COVID.
Yeah.
And it's a song of hope, like a lot of my songs. So that's basically it. The whole album is full of hope. I think that's the only way to go.
Yeah. So since COVID, I mean, you seem to be busier than ever. You're always touring about Europe and places like that, aren't you?
Yes, I am, thankfully. And next year I'm returning to the States and Canada around St. Patrick's Day and around that March, April time. But in Europe, yes, a lot of the time spent in Europe, and it's always been that way with me. And I come back and do bits and pieces here. I do a lot in the Netherlands, Germany, and Switzerland, and sometimes Austria, and wherever the music takes me.
So what is it about the audiences out there then?
Other people say other things. They don't understand me, you know. I think they do get it, actually. I don't want to be, a lot of them will be watching this, I hope. I think, yeah. I've always just been one of those people that have travelled. And as I say, you go where the music takes you and where the work takes you. So I've done okay over the years throughout Ireland. But again, I don't mind travelling. I love my job. And people often ask me, where's your favourite country? And I always answer it's a diplomatic one. I say, it's where you are at that time.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's true.
Yeah.
You could be sitting in a folk club or a venue in Belfast, or it could be overseas somewhere. If the people want you there, that's what it's all about.
Tell me about the fabulous photo on the front of the CD, because I mean that's just a fabulous scene there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first of my 9 albums that I'm not on the front, and my record label Brambis, a Swiss label, they always wanted the artist on the front, but I talked them around for this one because it's a picture in Switzerland. Ursina Patella took this photograph, and I just saw it one day and I went, oh wow, and it falls into the theme of the light from the light that never ends. My record label said, that's a great cover. He says, but it doesn't snow in Ireland. I says, it does. Sometimes if you're high enough, it does. Because they have real mountains and they have real snow. But yes, I think it fits the theme of the album. A new dawning, full of hope.
And what about the rest of the tracks on the album? They all have this kind of inspirational theme going on?
Yeah, they do. I just, like always, Robin, I write when I'm travelling. People I meet, just different situations in my life. So it's just a collection of the last few years of travelling, and well, before COVID and just after it.
Yeah.
I was working a little bit in Europe during COVID. There was a few times I just got out of different countries in time. It was shutting up the airports, for instance, in Schiphol in the Netherlands and in Frankfurt in Germany. I just got out in time, and Dresden as well. But yes, it's getting better.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you're talking to other artists. It was a lot of hard times during those few years, but.
And did you find it tough, or did you use the time to be creative?
Yeah, I just sat and looked at blank walls. Like I'm good at that, you know. I let things just build up in my head, then I go, oh, I get that spurt of inspiration and start writing. So my writing, I had bits and pieces through COVID, and near the end of it, I have time to get my album together. I can write fairly quickly. But yes, I was tight going, but like everybody else, you get through, you have to get through, and a lot of time for reflection. Maybe that comes through in the album too, an appreciation of life and being blessed as we are.
Yeah. I mean, you've been around for a long time. You've achieved quite a lot. You've released, how many albums now have you released?
That's number 9.
Number 9, wow. I mean, are you an ambitious person? Is there still stuff you want to do?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. I mean, I know where I'm at in life, and I know my limitations. I know, but you have to keep striving. And I've done a lot of stuff over the years, but that young man inside you still going, yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that. I think that drives you on, and as an artistic person, you write. You know, even if you don't realise you're doing it, you write things down, or you mess about in the guitar and you get ideas, and you go, oh, that might be a song. Yeah. Then you try it out live and just take it from there. But yes, it's going okay. Excellent.
And what about new music and stuff? Who do you listen to at the moment, or do you listen to new stuff?
Yeah, I would go. I love the Killers. I've said this probably the last time I was on. I do listen to quite a lot. I noticed Nick Lowe was on tour. That's old music, but some of my friends in the Netherlands saw him playing. Fantastic songwriter.
He's done some great songs. Cruel to Be Kind and
Breaking Glass.
Breaking Glass, of course, as well. Yeah.
But that's not new music. But I do listen to a lot of stuff on podcasts. Sometimes I can't even tell you the name of the artist. Just there's a lot of good music out there. I'm trying to think of other artists.
But of course, you're a big Bowie fan. Anytime we speak, it
when
always
you bring
comes
that
back
up,
to David Bowie somewhere, doesn't it?
Yes, in the Netherlands I went to see the new movie.
Yes, what did you think?
That was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was just coming at you. And, to take, the amount of effort, I know it happens in any movie, but the amount of effort went into that, the clips, it repeated itself a few times, but the director or the producers will probably have a reason for that. Yeah. And Bowie was deep. You hear him talking. It was a bit surreal at times, but the people are talking about the length of it. It was 2 and whatever quarter hours, but it flew in. Yeah. Ended up Starman came on at the end, my favourite song probably, and I went, oh, it's over.
Yes, yeah. And of course, he was somebody who kept reinventing himself all the time. He was a genius, wasn't he?
He was a genius, but what I liked about him, he was a wee bit of a magpie. He stole things from people. He said that himself. But he'd done it his own way.
What about you then for the rest of the year then? Any Northern Ireland gigs coming up?
Yeah, I do some local stuff. People can check my website out, www.brendanmonaghan.com. And I have a lunch party coming up and doing some radio and promotion, and then off away again. Just back and forth. Again, all my information's on my website. Yeah. So I love playing at home, but I love travelling too. Yeah. Blessed.
Brilliant. And as you said, heading to America then as well, which must be great, especially around the St. Patrick's Day celebrations and stuff over there.
It's lovely because of COVID again. I swear I would never talk about COVID, but you have to. This time I'm going over around St. Patrick's Day. I'm up in Canada playing, and then through Michigan and Chicago and Ontario and Canada and Ontario. But yes, I'm looking forward to that. And you asked me what I'm doing. I was just doing the same. But you put an album out and you promote it, and you promote that for a couple of years. Yes. I know you have to be hot around that time. You've got to work at it around the release. But you're carrying it about with you all the time. And then you're doing songs from the earlier albums too. So, it's okay. Excellent. It's going well.
Well, if people want the album, I suppose the best place to get it is on your website.
Yes, some record stores have the hard copies. They're online, of course, all the digital platforms. And if you want a hard copy, you can come to the gigs or website or record label, Brambus Records, or some stores. But again, if you go digital, it's on everywhere.
It's sad not to see the old record stores the way they used to be, isn't it? Because when an album came out, if you remember this, especially when a Bowie album came out or a Stones album came out, it was an event, wasn't it?
Yes, you don't want to sound old-fashioned, but I mean, I think the kids today miss that. You knew the date was coming up and you're waiting at the record store, it arrives, and then the smell of it. Yeah. And you're looking through it, the photographs, and you can't wait to get it home to play it. And there's some good stores still around. Thankfully, with the vinyl, hopefully this will come out in vinyl eventually. It's sort of coming back a little bit. So kids and adults are getting that experience. But yeah, those days probably will never be back again. And we can get nostalgia, I'm very nostalgic. But yeah, they were good times. I'm waiting for singles coming out. Yeah, I remember waiting for John and Molly dancing and Starring Man and all the rest of it. Oh, it's great.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to get you to do one more before you go. What are you going to do this time for us?
I could do a song called Always and Everywhere.
Okay, what's the story behind this one then?
It's a love song.
Yeah?
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I look forward to it. Brendan, good to see you as always, and the
Thank
best of luck with the new
Bless you,
album.
Robin.
So here he is, performing live once more for us. Here is Brendan Monaghan.
When I look into your eyes, I can tell no lies. Just give my heart and my soul. Every breath I take for you. You're the apple of my eye, always and everywhere. Wanna be by your side, in the dark of night, in the light of day. I'll watch over you, guiding your way home. My fears all disappear, your love surrounds me. You give me all that I need. Forever I will be with you. Of this you can be sure. Always and everywhere. Wanna be by your side, along the rocky road, in the ups and downs. You can be strong in a world that tries to bring you down. Wanna be by your side. Show a little love, it'll come back to you. Give a little love, it will see you through. Show a little love, it'll come back to you. Give a little love, it will see you through. Always and everywhere.
So it's that time of year once again to get your nominations in for the East Side Awards. We'll be chatting to Jonathan McAlpin all about them after we take a look back at last year's ceremony. Here's what happened. So there we go, that's what happened last year at the East Side Awards. Let's find out about what's happening this year because Jonathan McAlpin joins us in the studio. How are you?
I'm great, thanks Robin, yeah, looking forward to this year's awards.
Thank you for joining us. So tell us all about what's happening then. 7 years now these awards have been going, haven't they?
7 years, yeah, it doesn't feel like it, I don't know, I can still remember whenever we dreamt up the idea of the awards, but yes, we've been going 7 years, and as it's been very gratifying, we've been building it year on year. We see larger numbers attending the awards, but even better, we see more and more people engaging through the application process.
Brilliant. So we're celebrating everything that's good about East Belfast, and it seems all the time there's lots happening in the area, lots of new things all the time, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, that part of the city really has transformed over the last sort of 10, 15 years, and we're really trying to capture the spirit of that transformation. I mean, what this is all about is to try to shine a spotlight on what's really good about that part of the city, and there's a lot of good in that part of the city, most of it which goes unsung. You know, these things happen and people see the outward outworking of it, you know, the things like C.S. Lewis Square and the greenways and all the aspects associated with that. But it's who's in behind all that.
Exactly, and I'm always telling people as well, it's great for food these days. There's some fabulous cafes and restaurants, isn't there?
Too good, frankly, as my waistline can attest. It is too good, but absolutely fantastic, and new eateries all the time, and also other hostelries there. You've got the Bullhouse Brewery. I'm not sure if I'm meant to be giving anybody a plug, but there's another new one on the pavements there, C.S. Lewis Square. So yeah, it's great.
And I'm hearing loads of things about Banana Block, which I still haven't been in to check out yet either.
Yeah, and there are bananas in there too. Yeah, it's a really cool space. Definitely, I would get down and check it out. And there's like a vinyl record store in there, I noticed, which
that's
is
what I
just
want
fantastic.
to check out, the vinyl records in there, definitely.
Definitely, it's much better than this streaming stuff.
Indeed, indeed. So tell us about the awards this year then. We're celebrating businesses, we're celebrating people in the area who have done great things, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the nature of the awards. Sometimes people ask us about are these business awards. They're not business awards, but they do celebrate business as well as other walks of life, and that's what this is about. It's really trying to capture the broad spectrum of life in East Belfast. So we have awards for arts, we have awards for business, for tourism, education-related awards, and also awards then that celebrate young people as well as community organisations and all different aspects of life in East Belfast.
Now, I believe the Teacher Award, that's always a big one every year.
It's always a big one, and we've had really good engagement with that one over the years. I think education in East Belfast is something that is really important for us. There's always been a lot written about, at times, the challenges that some people face engaging with education in this part of the city. So we want to really pay attention to that. So this year, and maybe just for this year, we've decided we're going to shine the spotlight on a different part of the education arena, and we're looking at classroom assistants. Often the unsung heroes who work so hard to really make things tick. And we want to get people recognised for what they're doing there. So it's favourite classroom assistant this time.
And obviously at the moment, challenging times for businesses out there, and especially new businesses getting off the ground. So you're celebrating the best business startups as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. And that's one that we, again, see as fundamentally important to East Belfast. I mean, I guess part of the history of East Belfast is that it was always an economic engine for the city. When we think back to the likes of the shipyard, the rope works, and those big industrial employers. Nowadays, when with those industries gone, we really need to replace that with the vibrant energy that there is in the entrepreneurial sector in East Belfast, and we want to encourage that more. So that's why the spotlight on startup in this one.
Brilliant. Now, you've got one here as well for environmental sustainability. Do you think people are becoming more aware of the world around them, the environment around them these days?
Well, I think so. I mean, I think we've just got to look at the news, and I mean the energy crisis that we're facing. We all know the reasons behind that, but you know, never more has it been important to everybody to look at what we're doing to the planet, and the Environmental Sustainability Award is all about that. We've really got to pay attention to that, if for no other reason, to make sure that the future sources of energy are more reliable and we can actually afford them.
Excellent. Now, we've also got the contribution to the arts as well.
We do. The arts is vibrant in East Belfast and ever growing. We have the Eastside Arts Festival every year in August, and you know what you'll see, and hopefully people engage in that festival because it showcases a lot of what the best is in East Belfast. But you've got venues like the Vault there in the Newton Ards Road, again, a collective of incredibly talented people from right across the arts spectrum. And just to give them a plug, you know, they I know are going to be looking for new premises soon. So if there are opportunities in East Belfast, I'd love to hear about that, because we really do want to really drive forward that arts agenda across East and the vibrancy that brings to life there.
And of course we have the fabulous Strand Cinema and Arts Centre as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. The Mimi Turtle up there at the Strand does phenomenal work, and you know, I've got a couple of young children myself, and you know, the stuff that's put on for all age groups, including children, to engage them at a young age in the arts. And it's cinema, fantastic, but it's not just about cinema. And the Strand, I mean, we've got to keep that. You know, it's the only Art Deco cinema still alive, and we've got to keep that going.
Excellent. So lots to look forward to, lots of nominations to be had as well. And then, of course, you do a very special award, an Outstanding Contribution Award every year as well, don't you?
We do. And that is, as you say, it's a very special award. It's really to recognise the endeavours of somebody who maybe doesn't always get the spotlight in East Belfast, but once you hear their story, you sort of go, well, why? You know, because there's these people that just make things happen and for the benefit of so many people in that part of the city. So we've had phenomenal award winners in the past on that one.
Have you everybody from James Brown, who runs the funeral business, to Billy Murray, world champion kickboxer as well? Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, to all very deserving award winners, and it's one that the committee chooses on this occasion, although we do accept if people want to put forward suggestions, but the committee chooses this one, and on the night it's always kept as a bit of a surprise to finish the night on a high.
Brilliant. Okay, so nominations are available now. When's the big night, by the way?
The big night is, it's always, well, I say it's always. Last year we'd moved it to in and around Easter time, purely because of the COVID restrictions. But what we like to do is we like to have it at the end of January. So it's the Friday the 27th of January is the big night. And we do that because it's something to look forward to just after Christmas, which has been such a high. And then we go into the depths of the January blues. So this is to finish it on a high at that month. So 27th of January in Stormont Hotel.
Brilliant. So if people want to get nominating, how do they do that?
Yeah, go to eastsideawards.org, and all the details about how to enter are there for you. And you can, some for nomination, some for application, and 28th of October is the deadline for that, so please get onto it as soon as you can.
Excellent. Well, Jonathan, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Now, time to meet my final guest on the show this week. He's a best-selling author. He's got a brand new detective novel out. It's a Detective Superintendent Ray Grace novel, and it's called Picture You Dead. Peter James joins us now on the line. Peter, how are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Robin.
So tell us about the new novel then. And of course, a lot of people would have been watching Detective Superintendent Roy Grace on TV recently. You've got the TV series with John Sim. So are you pleased with the way that's turned out?
You know, I'm over the moon with Grace. I've had previous books before Grace adapted, and I was never happy with them, but ITV have been wonderful. And John Sim is the most delightful guy to work with. And the really strange thing is that if you'd asked me when I first created Roy Grace to do a photo fit of him, John Sim would have been the person. So it's a perfect fit. And likewise with Glenn Branson, played by Richie Campbell. So I've got a dream cast. And it's quite funny now when I sat down to write a new book, because I've got these real life characters now in my head. So I've got these actual models, and I find it actually very helpful. You know, I know how John Sim walks, talks, sits, laughs, speaks. And so I've got this living image now.
So tell us about the new book then, Picture You Dead. Roy Grace is back again.
Roy Grace is back. Picture You Dead is I can't believe it, the 18th Roy Grace novel. But it doesn't matter if they're all written as standalones, so any new reader can start with number 18. But if you start at the beginning of the series, you get some of the story development of various characters. But Picture You Dead, what I love to write is what my publishers call the everyday sinister. things that could happen to any of us. And Picture Dead, the basic central story begins with a couple. He's a small-time builder. She's a teacher in Brighton. And they love going to car boot sales on a Sunday. And it's something I've always loved doing. And I think many of us have this dream that, including me, that one day I'm going to go to a car boot sale and I'm going to buy something that turns out to be so valuable. And so this couple, they see a painting. It's a horrible, ugly old lady's face, but in a beautiful frame. And they buy it for 20 quid. They're going to take it home, cut the picture out and put something they love in it. And they get home and they realize there's another painting underneath. And they find out how to remove the surface painting, scrape it all off very carefully. And there is this stunning landscape underneath of two young lovers. And it's clearly looks very old. And by sheer chance, Antiques Roadshow is coming to Sussex. So they take it to Antiques Roadshow, and the expert looks at it and he says, look, he said, I can't tell you here and now if this is genuine or not, but it looks to me like a long lost Fragonard from 1770, the French artist who painted these beautiful fete gallant scenes like this one. He said, all I can tell you is the last Fragonard sold at auction for £17 million. And that's when their nightmare begins.
It sounds very intriguing, and it also ties in with the latest research where we've discovered there are a lot of aspiring art connoisseurs out there, aren't there?
A lot, and a huge amount of art forgery. And the idea for the book came back in 2015 when I wrote a non-fiction book called Policing Roy Grace's Brighton, with the former commander of Brighton and Hove. And we interviewed a lot of Brighton villains. And Graham Bartlett said to me one day, he said, oh, there's this forger I nicked back in 1997, and he's invited us for lunch. And so we went over, and David Henty, and there's a blue plaque on the door saying world's #1 art forger. Anyway, he came out and he greeted Graham like a long lost mate. Bearing in mind that the last time he'd seen him was 2000, had been about nearly 20 years ago, when he'd completely ruined his life by nicking him.
What is it about crime novels? They seem more popular today than ever before. And of course, here in Northern Ireland, we've got this big community of crime writers now who are actually producing some very good books.
I know, it's lovely. I'm very happy about it. I think there's a number of reasons. I think, oddly enough, in a very uncertain world, I think part of the thing people love about crime novels is certainty. Yeah. You know, you can be scared, intrigued, but you're in a safe environment. You know at the end of the book, hopefully Roy Grace or any other detective, whether it's kind of Rebus or whoever it is going to lock up the bad guys, and you'll close the book and the world will suddenly feel just a slightly safer place. I think that's one level. I think at another level, I think all of us enjoy puzzles, and a good crime novel is a puzzle. And I think readers always like trying to get ahead of the detective or enjoy being told something which puts them ahead of the detective or ahead of the villain. I think at another level, we are intrigued by murder. You know, I think, murder is the one crime for which there's no restitution. You know, if somebody murders a loved one, somebody else's loved one, they can never bring that person back. You know, if they steal money, they can pay it back. And I think we're all intrigued by what is the difference between that person who can kill and you and I. Yeah. You know, and is there a difference?
Exactly. Yeah.
Could we one day snap and kill somebody ourselves? Or is there something in the brain that allows murderers to do it? And then I think at a much deeper psychological level, I think we are all genetically programmed to survive above all else. And I think one of the things that we get from reading a good crime novel, particularly where there's murder or any other violent crime in it, is what can we learn from it to help our own survival? I think, when if we're driving along and we see a terrible car accident on the road, we always watch, we look at it. But I don't think we look at it because we're vultures. I think we look because our brain is saying, what can we learn from that to make sure we never get in that situation? And I think in a crime novel, particularly if we're reading a well-researched, good crime novel, it's, what can we learn about that person who raped or who killed, that we can make sure that we and our loved ones are never in that position.
Now, I believe the Queen Consort is a big fan of yours.
She is indeed. About 7 years ago now, a friend of mine emailed me, said, go out right now and buy a copy of the Daily Mail. So I went and bought it, and there was a photograph of Her Majesty sitting in her office, and there were 8 of my Roy Grace novels right behind her head.
Wow.
And she said that in the article, she said I was one of her 2 kind of favorite crime writers. So I wrote to her, and she wrote a lovely letter back. And since then, she sort of writes me after every book. And then when we were filming Grace last autumn, she started a book club at the beginning of COVID it was called the Duchess's Reading Room. It's now called the Royal Reading Room. And she'll take an author for 2 weeks and feature them every day. And I said, would you like to come and see some of the filming? And she did.
Oh, wow.
And she was charming. She came down in October, and we decided we were filming at the harbour in Shoreham Harbour, just outside Brighton. And we figured that would be a good safe place. They could secure it. And you get this whole prescribed thing, like helicopter lands at 11:05. She'll arrive in her car at the set at 11:15. She'll interview you for half an hour. 10 minutes meeting the set, 10 minutes watching filming. Then she'll go be private for 20 minutes to have a lunch, and then off to the next appointment. So I greeted her, and she arrived, and we'd got 2 chairs upstairs in a warehouse, and we just sat on these 2 bare wooden chairs, and she interviewed me for half an hour.
Oh, wow.
And she's got, her lady in waiting was standing in the room, the Lord Lieutenant. It was quite bizarre. And she knew more about my Roy Grace novels than I think I did. She was asking me, she had really encyclopedic knowledge, and she's got a great sense of humor. I mean, we were laughing, and then she shook hands with every member of the crew, watched some filming, and then I said, right, I'll leave you to be private now. She said, no, come and have lunch with me. So I went back up in the warehouse, and I sat down like a t-shirt, an old wooden packing crate. Yeah. She pulled out thermos flask with a soup, a banana, and a lady in waiting gave me a sandwich, and we just sat there. She's so charming and just natural.
And that's not your only connection to royalty, because your late mother was actually a glove maker for Queen Elizabeth II, wasn't she?
She was indeed, and after she died, my sister carried on, and they still be making them, and for Kate Middleton and others. But I have I met the Queen a number of times. Always the most extraordinary feeling being with her, because she was you really knew you were in the presence of a royal, but she was utterly charming at the same time. But one of my fondest childhood memories is that the Queen had a dresser, because my mother had been making the gloves since 1947 when the Queen got married. But her dresser was very frugal, and the Queen was constantly putting wear and tear on the gloves because she's shaking hands with people all the time. She's in the Guinness Book of Records as having shaken the most number of hands in one day, and that was in our gloves. And so the dresser would send them back for repairs. And my mother was an ardent royalist. She was a Jewish refugee from Vienna, and England gave her sanctuary in 1938. So she was forever grateful. And when those gloves came back, she wouldn't let anybody in the factory touch them. And we would sit Sunday evening, the Sunday night at the London Palladium, Bruce Forsyth on television, and my mum would be holding one of the Queen's gloves with a needle and thread, making the repairs.
So Peter, sadly we're out of time. I could continue this all day. The book is out now, but is there another Roy Grace novel in the pipeline?
There is, and actually thanks to COVID, I'm actually, first time in my life, I've delivered ahead of schedule. So next year's Roy Grace I've already finished the first draft, and that's going to be about the hideous world of puppy theft and illegal dog farming, which has become a huge criminal enterprise. Thanks to COVID. So I've been writing, and I'm a big dog lover, so that's been a passionate journey also.
Peter, it's been great talking to you. The very best of luck with the book, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much. Great to talk to you as well.
So there we go. Peter James there talking about his brand new Roy Grace novel. That's all we have time for on the show this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you to all the guests, and we'll see you back here same time next week. Bye-bye.